Hey, welcome to World Code Updates. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. The wind whispers through Yubari, carrying with it echoes of laughter and life that once filled these streets. Now only the sound of rustling grass and the distant creak of old signs remain, painting a haunting picture of what was lost. This town in Hokkaido, once vibrant and full of promise, now stands as a ghost of its former self. Its main street deserted, its shops shuttered, and its sidewalks empty. Streets that were once alive with the footsteps of children and the chatter of neighbors are now eerily quiet. Storefronts are shuttered, their windows clouded with dust, and signs that once welcomed visitors now hang faded and forgotten. The silence here is heavy, almost tangible. It speaks of a community slowly fading from existence, of dreams deferred and a future that never quite arrived. As we walked these empty streets today, we saw only a handful of elderly residents moving slowly, their presence a reminder of the generations that once called this place home. The local school, which once echoed with the laughter and energy of children, now has just a handful of students. The playground sits mostly empty, a symbol of a shrinking future. Yubari's story is not unique. It is a preview of a crisis quietly unfolding across Japan, as rural towns face the same fate. Declining populations, shuttered businesses, and fading hope. This is more than just a local tragedy. It's a demographic time bomb, a national emergency unfolding in slow motion as Japan's population ages and birth rates continue to fall. The few remaining residents share stories of a vibrant past, of festivals, families, and bustling markets. Their memories are tinged with loss but also with pride for what their community once was. They worry about the future, about who will care for them as they age, and who will remember Yubari when they are gone. Their concerns echo across countless towns facing the same uncertainty. Their faces, etched with years of hard work and resilience, tell a story that statistics alone cannot capture. Each wrinkle is a chapter in Yubari's history. This is the front line of Japan's population crisis, a quiet collapse happening in real time, visible in empty hospital corridors and deserted streets. Yubari is a harbinger. Thousands of towns across Japan are on the same path, slowly emptying out as young people leave and the elderly remain. The silence of Yubari is a warning, not just to Tokyo and Osaka, but to the entire world. It is a glimpse of what may come if nothing changes. This is more than just a story of one town. It's a glimpse into a future many fear is unavoidable, a future where silence replaces the sounds of life, and memories are all that remain. Japan's decline began in places like Yubari, a once thriving mining town that now stands as a symbol of rural desolation. Far from the neon glow of its bustling cities, these areas have been left in the shadows. Young people in search of opportunities and vibrant city life left rural areas for Tokyo, Osaka, and Nagoya, leaving aging parents behind to tend to empty homes. This exodus hollowed out the countryside, creating ghost villages where life once thrived. The vibrant energy of cities masked the decay happening in the provinces, as the bright lights and busy streets painted a picture of prosperity. But the demographic rot was not contained. It spread to urban centers, slowly eroding the foundations of city life. Now, signs of decline are visible even in Tokyo, where once bustling streets now echo with silence. Neighborhoods in outer wards are aging rapidly, with fewer young families to sustain them. Shops are closing as owners retire, with no successors to take over their legacy. Schools, once filled with the laughter of children, are closing due to a lack of students, leaving behind empty hallways. The emptiness has breached city limits, creeping into suburbs, where for sale signs are a common sight. While central districts still teem with people, the trend of decline is undeniable and increasingly hard to ignore. The crisis has followed the path of migration in reverse, as some seek to return to quieter rural roots. The same demographic pressures are squeezing life out of urban neighborhoods, leaving behind lonely streets and empty playgrounds. The silence that fell on Yubari is now echoing in Tokyo, a haunting reminder of the challenges that lie ahead for Japan. Japan's demographic freefall is stark and unambiguous. Once a symbol of post-war economic miracle and bustling urban life, the country now faces a silent crisis that is visible in every corner of its cities and countryside. The population has been shrinking for over a decade, a trend that shows no sign of reversing. Every year, the number of people living in Japan quietly ticks downward, leaving a profound impact on society. Last year alone, Japan lost more than 800,000 people, a number equivalent to the population of a small city simply vanishing in just 12 months. Projections are even more alarming. If current trends continue, the the population could plummet to below 90 million by 2065, a dramatic drop from its peak of over 127 million just a few decades ago. At the heart of this decline are two relentless forces: falling birth rates and rising death rates. These numbers are not just statistics, they represent the changing fabric of Japanese society. Japan now has one of the lowest birth rates in the world. Fewer children are being born each year, and many maternity wards stand eerily quiet, a stark contrast to the baby booms of the past. Meanwhile, the death rate is soaring as the post-war generation ages rapidly. More funerals are held than celebrations of new life, and care homes are filled to capacity. This so-called death cross, where deaths outnumber births, has become the engine of the nation's decline, accelerating the demographic crisis. The gap between births and deaths widens every year, creating a demographic vortex that pulls the nation further into uncharted territory. Across the country, there are now over 9 million abandoned homes, known as akiya, dotting the landscape from rural villages to suburban neighborhoods. These empty houses stand as haunting monuments to families that no longer exist, their memories fading along with the peeling paint and overgrown gardens. Paradoxically, this surplus of empty property exists alongside a housing crisis for young families who often struggle to find affordable, suitable homes in urban centers. The age structure is shifting dramatically. Nearly 1 in 3 Japanese citizens is now over 65, making Japan the oldest society in the world. The workforce is shrinking, putting immense pressure on the economy and the social security system. Businesses face labor shortages, and the tax base is eroding. There are fewer workers to support a growing number of retirees, creating a heavy burden for the younger generation and threatening the sustainability of public services. Japan is getting smaller, older, and emptier every day. The question now is not just how to stop the decline, but how to adapt to a future where the old outnumber the young and entire communities risk fading away. To understand Japan's crisis, we must revisit the 1980s bubble economy. Japan was an economic superpower with a thriving salaryman culture. Men pledged loyalty to companies for stable jobs and benefits. This model allowed families to form and grow. Then the bubble burst in the early 1990s, leading to economic stagnation. The promise of lifetime employment evaporated. Companies relied on part-time, temporary workers with no job security. The cost of raising a child remained high, especially in cities. Without stable jobs, many young men couldn't afford families. Women faced a choice career or family, with little flexibility. The government's response was slow and inadequate. Cash bonuses for children failed to address root causes. By the time action was taken, the demographic decline was nearly irreversible. The crisis is a result of economic shifts and inadequate policy responses. Japan's crisis echoes across Europe, a demographic time bomb unfolding. Birth rates are falling, populations aging, and societies grappling with consequences. Europe faces economic uncertainty, high living costs, and changing social norms. The average fertility rate is below the replacement level. Young Europeans delay life milestones, burdened by debt and insecure jobs. Rural areas are deserted, schools closing due to lack of children. The social fabric is unraveling, leaving an aging population. A shrinking workforce struggles to support retirees, straining systems. Labor shortages are acute in key sectors. Economic dynamism is threatened by demographic drag. European leaders face difficult questions: growth, care for the elderly, and future building. The crisis transcends economic models and cultural backgrounds. The story is different in each country, but the final chapter risks being the same. Europe's demographic crisis is a collection of national dramas. Italy faces one of the lowest birth rates, with towns offering cash to newcomers. Spain's interior is depopulated, youth unemployment high. Germany relies on immigration, facing integration challenges. Even France sees falling fertility despite strong family support. Eastern Europe suffers from mass emigration, accelerating decline. The crisis transcends economic models and cultural backgrounds. High living costs, work-family balance, and economic pessimism deter children. The story varies, but the outcome risks being the same. A future of fewer people, slower growth, and aging societies looms. The crisis is about more than numbers. It's about connection and purpose. A lack of shared purpose and social glue threatens societies. The demographic crisis is a crisis of the heart. Governments have tried financial incentives to boost birth rates. Cash bonuses, child allowances, and tax breaks have been rolled out. Hungary offers loans forgiven as couples have children. The logic: make having children cheaper. However, results are underwhelming. Birth rates remain low. Japan's financial support hasn't reversed the decline. Cash solutions fail to address deeper barriers to family formation. Bonuses don't help with childcare costs or flexible work environments. They don't solve the housing crisis or alleviate economic anxiety. The decision to have a child is complex, rooted in hope and stability. Government money can't create optimism if conditions are hostile. Cash incentives are a short-term fix for a long-term crisis. A profound social issue can't be solved with transactions. Beyond data lies a deeper cost: loneliness. In Japan, kodokushi or lonely deaths are common. Elderly die alone, undiscovered for weeks. Single-person households rise, fraying family ties. Young people also feel isolated despite digital connections. The loneliness epidemic is a public health crisis. Traditions risk disappearing as communities shrink. Festivals are canceled, crafts dying out without apprentices. A nation's culture needs people to keep it alive. A lonely society lacks optimism for the future. Pessimism discourages family formation. The crisis is about more than numbers, it's about connection. It's a crisis of the heart as much as it is of numbers. The demographic decline demands bold, transformative action. Small tweaks and incentives are insufficient. Governments must invest in affordable childcare and housing. Work culture needs revolutionizing for family life. Shorter hours, flexible schedules, and paternity leave are essential. Pension systems require urgent reform for sustainability. Immigration can help but isn't a silver bullet. Integration challenges must be addressed alongside native support. We face a crossroads: manage decline or renewal. Investing in the next generation is crucial. Reforming institutions and building a new social contract is vital. Choices made today will determine future societies. The clock is ticking. Bold action is needed now. The time for change is now.